Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of Blast from the Past. Let me begin by wishing each and every one of you a very happy May Day or International Labour's Day. Unfortunately, like pretty much of our other national holidays like Gandhi Jayanti and Republic Day, we have taken May Day for granted. Most of us, I'm sure, don't even know what is the origin of this particular day. What is the significance of this particular day? All we know is something to do with labor perhaps. And yes, while we are not altogether wrong, it is important for each and every one of us to know what is the significance of this day, which we celebrate each and every year on the 1st of May. The history of this particular day goes back to the late 19th century when the world was just recovering from the shock of what we call as the Long Depression. America, of all other places, became a very important hub of rapidly growing industrial activity, especially after the Civil War and the aftermath of the Great Depression. You'll be surprised to know that workers who possibly emigrated from Europe used to work for almost 60 hours in a 6-day work week. Quick calculation, that is roughly working around 10 hours a day. And that's not just office work which I'm talking about, which we probably do sitting in our desks in an AC environment. It is hardcore industrial work where you are standing in front of machines and tiring your lungs out, sweating, and it's extremely discomforting. And those were the conditions in which these workers had to work almost for 60-70 hours. So naturally it led to a lot of discontentment between the workers, and as a result a lot of trade unions started, a lot of workers associations started who began to demand for better working conditions for workers. And Chicago became a central place for all these associations and bodies. Regular rallies were organized, regular meetings were organized to sensitize the industry leaders as well as industry workers about how we should all have healthy working practices and how probably the working hours per day should definitely be brought down to 8 working hours per day. And therefore, in October of 1884, the Federation of Organized Trade and Labor Unions got together in Chicago and across other places in America as well, and they declared that from the 1st of May 1886, an 8-hour work week will be followed throughout. Unfortunately, a very sad incident happened around that time in history. These rallies started very peacefully on the 1st of May, but on 4th of May, in what we call as the Haymarket Affair, Haymarket Square, a prominent place in Chicago, a meeting was organized there. And while some of these union leaders were addressing the crowds under the supervision of the local police, somebody threw a dynamite and there was a huge blast at the site. Almost 7 to 8 policemen lost their lives, and of course there were quite a few injured as well. Although history was not yet able to determine who was that person who actually threw the bomb, there were about 7 to 8 people belonging to various trade unions who were actually captured by the police, and they were tried in a court. Some of them were given life imprisonment, some of them were executed by hanging, probably a couple of them committed suicide, and the Haymarket Affair became a very dark chapter in the history of America, in the history of trade unions and workers across the globe. However, many years later, it was determined that these so-called conspirators who were arrested for this particular Haymarket Affair were actually innocent. And what is more important is that the world at large, because of this one single incident which happened in Chicago, began to realize the importance of having sane number of working hours and the importance of healthy working conditions for industrial workers. And that is why, friends, 1st of May being in the vicinity of the unfortunate incident of the Haymarket Affair, which happened on the 4th of May 1886, was selected as International Labour's Day in tribute of all those who lost their lives, in tribute of all those workers who fought for better working conditions. So yes, that's it. That's the story behind the 1st of May and how it became a mandatory public holiday for all of us. Not just for us, but for many other countries across the globe as well. So hope you like that story, and if you would like to stay tuned for more such forgotten stories from the past, do subscribe to my channel, and I will keep visiting you once in a while with a blast from the past.